Your actual issues are fear of fear, fear of discomfort, and fear of emotions. That's what it is. That's why you're struggling. Probably in that order. It's fear of fear, fear of discomfort, and fear of emotions. That's why you keep staying with that friend group that you know don't like you. Because you have decided that you are not worth the discomfort of being alone. It's not being alone that bothers you. It's not having friends that bothers you. It's the discomfort of such that you have been conditioned to believe is uncomfortable because of the social pressures of everybody else. Because you have all of these things that you want to do, that you consistently say, I can't wait to get home and be in my room and be alone so I can do X, Y, and Z. You don't have an issue with being alone. You have an issue with the discomfort of not choosing somebody else. You have an issue with the discomfort of choosing yourself. Because apparently that's selfish. It's okay for you to bend over backwards and give all of yourself to somebody else. But the minute you choose one thing for yourself, all of a sudden you're the most selfish person in the world. You have all of these things that you want to do that you feel like you can't do as long as you continue spending time with these other people. So why is it then when you're given the chance to decide that for yourself 24/7, you deny yourself? Because you don't think you are worth it. Well, now we have a problem. Now we're at an impasse. Because they don't think you're worth it either, so who's going to? Are you going to wait for them to do it? Or are you going to do it yourself? Fear of discomfort is also why you keep staying with that man that's had you in an imaginationship for however long y'all been in one. That's why. Because you do not think you are worth the discomfort of not having a man. You think that it is a bad reflection on you that you don't have a man, because that's what society has told you. If as a woman you do not have a man, there must be something wrong with you. And sure, in some cases it could be something wrong with you. But a lot of these men just not really doing it for us, so we're choosing to be by ourselves, because if there's anybody that can give us what we want, it's us. If we all deserve to be with somebody who can give us what we want, why don't we just start with ourselves? But we often don't, because again, people have told us that doing that is selfish. That if we're investing in ourselves and we're not putting all of our energy towards other people, we're selfish and we're bad people and we're doing it wrong. So you never invest in yourself because you think it's selfish to do so. Again, discomfort. You have issue with feeling discomfort on what other people might think about you. Think of the most confident people that you know. I'm talking people like, especially if you watch people like Tam Carr, the Wizard Liz, those two women do not have an issue with the feeling of discomfort. Everybody says, oh, you have a fear of failure. Oh, you have a fear of success. You have a fear of abandonment. You have a fear of rejection. All of those are very valid fears, but at the root of it is fear of discomfort. And those women do not have either. They embrace failure. They embrace change. They embrace other people's projections. And they move on with life. They don't constantly try and run from discomfort. They don't constantly try and manipulate situations and change people's mindsets about them so that they can run away from their own discomfort. They realize that everybody is going to think how they're going to think, and it's really only going to affect those people. It's only going to change how they live their lives. Because at the end of the day, somebody being in their room at home at 9 p.m. on a Friday or a Saturday night does not affect anybody else except the people in the house. And if the only person is in the house is you, then what's it to anybody else? Fear of fear is your other issue. Discomfort, you can kind of consider it like a milder version of fear. But you don't want to be scared. You don't want to be re-traumatized. But a lot of your fears and your traumas can be healed by realizing just how many of those weren't originally yours to begin with. They were ones that you took on from other people because they projected it onto you, because they wanted you to take off some of the burden of their own anxieties that they refused to let go of. That's the weird thing about people, is that they have all of this anxiety that they want to let go of. They refuse to actually let go of it, but for some reason, because that would make their life so much easier, but for some reason, the only acceptable version of letting go is giving it to somebody else and forcing them to carry it. Instead of just saying, you know what, forget this, and walking off. I know it's not that simple, but you get what I'm trying to say. And even when it comes to things like anxiety, that's also fear of discomfort as well. Because when you're used to anxiety being a part of your identity, the idea of letting it go feels like you're letting go of a part of yourself. Like you're losing part of yourself and you don't know who you are without it. But you also don't want to be the person with it. So would it really be a detriment to you to lose the anxious part of your identity? Like, would that really be such a bad thing? But anyway, so I was talking about fear of fear. People fear a lot of things, and I am losing my train of thought. People fear a lot of things, but at the root of it is really fear of discomfort, fear of emotions. When you are scared of how you feel, you don't ever feel better. Because every emotion is a new experience to you. And you have decided that that's a bad thing. And part of it is biological. Because our body's designed to protect us. The problem is, the things that it's protecting us from aren't things that are inherently dangerous. But our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between an actual danger and something that just feels like danger. Which is why we always act so fearfully, so anxiously, so insecurely, so dependently. Why we act so neurotically. Our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. So that's why people, suggest you using affirmations and stuff, because if there's one thing that the subconscious mind thrives off of, it's repetition. So even if you don't feel like you believe it, which is your conscious mind, you say it enough times, eventually you'll start to believe it. Because your subconscious mind is trying to prove to you that what you fed it is true. It's basically its own confirmation bias. You can use that to your advantage. If you really want to heal from these type of things, you have to be willing to sit with yourself. The easiest way that you can start to heal from the fear of discomfort is to ask yourself this question. Am I or am I not worth the discomfort? Or you can flip it. You can be like, will the discomfort be worth it? So, when it comes to being with friends or being with a man you have no business being with, will the discomfort of me hanging out with these people be worth the hangout itself? You can flip that. Will the discomfort of not basically just giving away myself in service to them, doing what they do, talking how they talk, dressing how they dress, going where they go, eating what they eat, will the discomfort of letting go of all of that be worth me staying by myself and getting to do what I want? That might actually have to be flipped a tiny bit in the way I said it. It's probably semantics at this point, but I would probably say something more like, will me being by myself in my own comfortable space at home, with nobody to bother me, with nobody to judge me, any of that, will that be worth the discomfort of letting go of what I thought I needed to keep for myself? Will that be worth the discomfort of letting go of what I thought was for me? Same thing with whatever partner you're with. Will the relationship be worth the discomfort of the hardships that I'm currently going through? Do I see this progressing positively? Maybe this is just a rough patch. Or will I be worth the discomfort of letting go of something that I was leaning to fill a void I perceived in myself? Because many times when we hold on to something that's not good for us, it's because we're trying to fill a void in our own lives that we have convinced ourselves cannot be filled by ourselves. We know this already. But if you ask yourself those questions and you're finding that the answer to are you worth it, am I worth it, is no, then you can never complain about your situation again. Because that's the whole answer. That's the whole issue right there. Yes, friends doing you how they do you, that's their choice. A man treating you how he treats you, that's his choice. But you're allowing it because your low self-worth is the issue. I cannot control what somebody does to me. I can control what I do with that information afterwards. If I go on a date and that date stands me up, I control whether or not I pick up the phone, calling, texting, leaving voicemails, where are you, why aren't you here yet, why did you take me out if you don't like me? Or I can either leave and go somewhere else, or leave and go back home, or stay there and solo date, and have a good ass time whether or not you decide to respect my time. Because no matter what, I will always be worth it. And that right there is a sign of healed fear of discomfort. Because it's uncomfortable to think about you being in a restaurant by yourself, knowing that you're there for a date, and other people in the restaurant probably picking up on the fact that you're getting stood up. But when you heal that fear of discomfort, it can be very easy for you to reframe it as his loss, her loss, their loss, whatever. I had a good meal. They didn't. I had a good time too. They could have. They chose not to show up. What's that got to do with me? What does that have to do with me? The majority of what people run from is fear. It's emotions. It's discomfort. This is part of the reason why people tell you we have nothing to fear except fear itself, because when you're crippled by fear, everything and everybody controls you. That's why people try to guilt trip you. That's why people try to manipulate you. That's why we now have, urgency-based marketing and advertising that everybody finds annoying. Because when you really think of it, ain't a damn thing urgent. Ain't a damn thing in this world urgent except saving somebody's life. That's really what it is. Because they know it's effective as long as you prioritize discomfort avoidance over yourself and what it is you actually want. That's the reason why y'all are so riddled with FOMO, and that's the reason why marketing is so effective on you, and why you impulse buy so much, and why you get this feeling of, oh, I feel like I'm constantly being sold to. I hate this, I hate that. Part of the reason why you hate it is because it's too effective on you. Because you fear the discomfort of not having that thing. Whereas if you were okay with the discomfort of not having that thing, which would translate to you not being uncomfortable, it wouldn't work on you. I totally get what people say about things like, the way that influencer marketing is, even as somebody who wants to be one. And how bad consumerism is. Like, you'll never sit here and listen to me claim that it's not actually as bad as people are saying it is, because it is. I see the micro trends. I see how rapidly we move through trends. And I used to think that trends weren't actually moving that fast. It's just that we have more exposure to them. But then I really thought about it, and I was like, yeah, no, this shit is moving kind of fast, especially on TikTok. But half of the reason why influencer marketing and regular marketing is the way that it is because everybody in those industries know how uncomfortable y'all are with discomfort. They're preying on it. They're capitalizing on it. And the longer that you go without solving that, the easier it is for them to get you to buy whatever it is they want you to buy. I don't think you guys realize just how many influencers and content creators want to be way more creative and, maybe even cinematic. They want to do more storytelling with their content. And they're not doing it, not because they don't want to, but because the brands are they're so suppressive, I don't know if that's a word, with their creative briefs. Because they also are dealing with issues of discomfort. They don't want to venture outside of what seems to be working because they're worried of not appealing to the same base that's going around telling these brands and speaking about influencers on social media, saying, we're tired of this. We want to see something new. We want to see something different. Because they don't think that their product, their mission, their values, and their customers and their audience are worth the change. The fear of discomfort and avoidance of that discomfort is more important to them. So from issues as, small circle and personal as the decisions that you make and the people you choose to spend your time with, all the way up to the way things, like a grander scale, a much wider, societal or even global scale. So much of how our world runs currently is because of the fear of discomfort. Fear of emotions, fear of discomfort. And I know initially when I mentioned them in this video, I put fear of emotions at kind of like at the top. But I honestly think fear of discomfort is the biggest one. Because as long as we continue to run from discomfort, we'll never change, we'll never grow as people, we'll never find that thing that might be so much better for us. Because we'll never allow ourselves to step outside, to go outside and grab it. That's my word for y'all today.